Imagine arriving in a new land full of hope, dreams, and opportunity, only to discover that everyone you came with has completely disappeared. No bodies, no struggle, no explanation, just silence. And carved into a wooden post, a single word, CROATOAN. To this day, no one truly knows what happened to them. This is the story of the lost Roanoke Colony, one of the greatest mysteries in history. In the late 1500s, England was eager to expand its power across the world. European nations were racing to claim land in the New World, and England wanted its own permanent settlement in America. So they chose a small island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. It was called Roanoke Island. The goal was simple: build a colony, establish a foothold, and eventually create a thriving English settlement in the Americas. In 1587, a group of around 115 settlers arrived on Roanoke Island. These weren't soldiers or explorers alone. They were families, craftsmen, farmers, and even children. Among them was a baby girl named Virginia Dare. She would become the first English child born in the New World. At first, everything seemed possible. The settlers began building homes, organizing their community, and trying to adapt to a completely unfamiliar land. But reality quickly set in. Roanoke was not an easy place to survive. The settlers struggled with food shortages almost immediately. Supplies were limited, and the land was difficult to farm in the way they were used to. On top of that, relationships with nearby Native American tribes were complicated. Some interactions were peaceful, but tension and mistrust were always present. The colony was fragile from the beginning. The leader of the settlement, John White, realized that they needed more supplies and more people if the colony was going to survive. So he made a difficult decision. He would return to England to request help. Before leaving, he promised the settlers that he would come back as quickly as possible. They trusted him. After all, he was their link to survival. But what no one could predict was what was happening across the Atlantic. England had entered a major war with Spain. Resources were redirected, ships were delayed, and travel across the ocean became extremely dangerous. What was supposed to be a short trip turned into years of delay. John White was unable to return to Roanoke for almost 3 years. During that time, the settlers were completely on their own. No supplies, no communication, no rescue, only isolation. When White finally managed to return in 1590, he brought hope with him. He expected to find the colony struggling, maybe even weakened, but still alive. Instead, what he found was far more disturbing. The settlement was completely empty. There were no people, no signs of a recent struggle, no bodies, no evidence of panic or attack. It looked as if the entire colony had simply vanished. The houses were dismantled. The fortifications were gone. Personal belongings were missing or removed in an organized way. Nothing suggested a sudden disaster. It was as if the people had packed up and left deliberately. But where could they have gone? Searching the area, John White found the first clue. On a post near the settlement, the word CROATOAN had been carved into the wood. Nearby, the word CRO was also carved into a tree. This was not random damage. It looked intentional. CROATOAN was the name of a nearby island, and also associated with a Native American tribe in the region. For John White, this seemed like a message. It suggested that the colonists might have moved to CROATOAN Island. But there was a problem. He never managed to search the island. Bad weather and dangerous conditions forced him to leave. He returned to England without ever finding his people. And after that, the story goes silent. No confirmed records of the colonists were ever found again. Over time, theories began to emerge. One of the most popular theories is that the settlers joined local Native American tribes. They may have abandoned Roanoke and integrated into nearby communities in order to survive. This theory is supported by the fact that CROATOAN was left behind as a possible destination. However, there is no direct evidence confirming this. No clear records, no definitive archaeological proof, and no verified descendants that can be traced back with certainty. Another theory suggests that the colonists died from starvation, disease, or harsh environmental conditions. Life in the New World was extremely difficult. If crops failed or resources ran out, survival would have been nearly impossible. But this theory also has a major issue. There are no bodies, no graves, and no clear physical evidence of mass death. A third theory suggests that the colony was attacked by hostile forces, either from local tribes or other unknown threats. But again, there is no sign of battle, no destroyed structures, no weapons scattered, nothing that clearly indicates violence. Everything about the site suggests an organized disappearance, not a chaotic one. Another possibility is that the settlers split up into smaller groups. Some may have stayed behind, while others moved inland or toward other settlements, slowly disappearing into different communities over time. This would explain the lack of evidence in one single location. But even this theory remains unproven. The truth is, every theory has gaps, and that is what makes Roanoke so strange. It is not just that the people disappeared, it is how cleanly they disappeared. No clear disaster, no confirmed explanation, no final record, just silence and a word carved into wood. CROATOAN. Over the centuries, historians and archaeologists have tried to solve the mystery. Excavations have been conducted in surrounding areas. Artifacts have been found that suggest English presence in nearby regions, but nothing definitive that proves what happened to the original colony. Modern technology has also been used. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, and advanced archaeological methods have all been applied in search of answers. But even today, nothing conclusive has been found. Each discovery seems to open more questions rather than closing them. And that is why the Roanoke Colony remains one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in history. It represents something deeper than just a lost settlement. It represents how fragile early exploration was, how easily entire communities could disappear without leaving a clear trace, and how history itself can sometimes fail to preserve answers. Today, Roanoke is remembered not just as a historical event, but as a mystery that refuses to be solved. A colony that vanished without explanation, a message carved into wood, and a question that still echoes more than 400 years later. What really happened to them? Did they survive by joining another group? Did they scatter and disappear into history? Or did something happen that we may never fully understand? We may never know for sure. And maybe that is what makes the story so powerful. Because in the end, Roanoke is not just about disappearance. It is about mystery itself. And some mysteries never leave us.